Welcome to Parenting Unscripted. I am your host, Katie Collette. And when you think of professional development, you more than likely, more often than not, think of adults and maybe building your career. But if we've learned anything, it's that perhaps we should start a little bit younger. So today we have brought in quite an amazing array of guests. Let me just pop up three fantastic people. First, we have Janelle McMahon, Teen Center Director of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Southeastern Virginia. We have Kevin Will, who is the President and CEO of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Southeastern Virginia, and also Dr. Jennifer Galiotos, who is a board member. And Dr. Galiotos just happens to be a CHKD pediatric urgent care specialist. So my friends, today we're bringing in the big guns. We have quite an awesome discussion. Thank you all for taking the time to be here today. 3 different schedules in one show, so you can all be here. I'm impressed that you could make it happen. So thanks for joining us today.
So excited to be here. Thank you. Anytime we get a chance to talk about youth development, we're first at the table. So
I love
Thank you for the opportunity.
And Kevin, since you spoke up first, you get the first question, good sir. So when parents really think about preparing kids for the future, a lot of times they want to, of course, focus on academic achievement. But what do you think adults sometimes underestimate when kids really need to become confident and capable adults?
Sure. So the school time is really important, right? We're never going to underestimate that. But the time that kids spend when they're not in school, whether that's after school, whether that's summertime, is really what shapes them, right? Or they could either really grow and thrive, or they could fall in with the wrong crowd. So to give kids some structure and some opportunity to explore new things, to really find a place that's a home away from home is so important to us. And then have, supportive mentors that are there in addition to their parents to really guide them, to be a trusted source of information is really critical. And we love the opportunity to do that every day.
Yeah. And I think your organization does that so beautifully. And Janelle, were you a club kid?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I've been a club kid since I was 8.
Oh, wow. So this is, it's really full circle for you, right? You've experienced all of it.
Yes.
And now you're back with the club. And so you really work, having gone through this yourself, and you work very closely with teens every day, which is incredible. What do you think adults might misunderstand most about what teenagers really need right now?
One thing that I think adults misunderstand is that they're going to go through a multitude of different phases. One day they might be this way. Next week, they might not want to talk to you. The week after that, they may have a new best friend that you've never heard of. They're going to go through a multitude of different things. And the whole purpose of you is just to be there for them. Just support them. You don't always have to give them advice because they don't always want to hear it.
Right.
But sometimes they will hear it in the background, and it'll eventually click to them as they get older. But in general, they just need the opportunity and the space just to grow throughout those phases.
And just kind of let them be kids and learn a bit, right?
Yes.
Give them space to learn, but be there kind of as their safety net should they need it.
And make mistakes. Let them make mistakes.
Yeah, let them make mistakes. Don't fix everything for them right away. And gosh, I'll tell you what, as a parent, it's so hard to not just try to jump in and just fix the mistake on your own. You have to really let your child kind of figure it out. Let them struggle a little so they learn to swim. Yeah, that makes total sense. Dr. Galiotos, a lot of parents want to protect their children from stress or disappointment, kind of like what I was just saying. And I'm guilty of it. I'm trying to get better. How do parents balance being supportive while still making sure that their children are kind of able to build resilience?
I think, exactly what you said. It's completely understandable that parents want to protect their children from any stress or disappointment. But on the other hand, it's completely setting them up for failure if we don't do it the correct way. Right. We have to put them in somewhat safe and somewhat controlled environments. You're not just going to feed them to the wolves, as they say. But children learn in general by failures. And as long as they're surrounded by people who can help them if it becomes out of control, I think that's, the best thing. In general, children have to gain skills that aren't so common in today's world. Everything is instant gratification. Everything is at their fingertips. But we want to teach them that it's important to stick with something, that it's important to have grit and work, and things might not always work out the way that you want it at first. But if you stick with something, it will give you big paybacks in the future. Yeah. And then, I mean, kind of just like I said with the delayed gratification, that's something that is sometimes hard for us to see as professionals and as a parent. I'm a parent myself, and you want things to happen so easily for your child, but we have to give them the skills to make that happen for themselves.
Would you say that there is maybe a situation where you could say, okay, parents, this is the kind of situation where you should step in versus, okay, let them make that mistake?
Sure. I mean, I think kind of as I stated it before, it has to be somewhat controlled, and you have to know that there's some safety. I would say if you're ever concerned for their physical or mental well-being, then you need to step in.
Yeah.
But if you can provide them, for example, if they're at school, for the most part, that would be a safe and controlled environment.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If they're at the Boys and Girls Club, that's a safe and controlled environment for them to choose activities or to choose to participate in things that may not be easy for them. I'm not saying to put them in a scary or unsafe situation.
Right, exactly. So Kevin, with the Boys and Girls Club, are there things that situations like that or circumstances where you even have to, at the club, say, okay, let the kids try to figure this out on their own. Let them learn from this.
Sure. And really at our organization, I see our mentors and our staff, our trained youth development professionals have that level of trust with the kids to really say, let's try some new things. And it's okay if you're not great at it the first time. And like Jennifer said, it's just sticking with it, but having that person believe in you. Sometimes, as a parent, if somebody else tells you the exact same thing that your parents tell you, right, it resonates a little bit better. So, to have those really positive mentors in your life that you feel safe with is really important.
All right. And on the other side of the break, we're going to continue this conversation. I want to ask each of you, what is one thing that each of you wishes parents would worry less about? So we're going to talk about that on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
Whether you're already working in education or aspiring to, then say yes to NPS. Norfolk Public Schools are currently hiring in the following positions. NPS offers the highest salaries and sign-on bonuses in Hampton Roads, plus a work lifestyle you'll love. Say yes to NPS.
Welcome back to Parenting Unscripted, where we are continuing our conversation about youth professional development. And we have some wonderful guests here from the Boys and Girls Clubs of Southeast Virginia. Here is our wonderful crew as we are continuing to talk more about this. And before we got to the break, I prepped you a little and I said, what's one of the things each of you wishes parents would worry about less? So here we go. Kevin, we're going to start with you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that parents should worry less about their kids being perfect. So, for an example, a GPA. It's great to have a 4.0, but it's pretty much unrealistic that a kid is going to be great in every single subject. And it's okay to really realize that you need to work harder at certain subjects, certainly make that goal, but if you don't have straight A's in kindergarten, you're going to be just fine, right?
Yeah.
And we can work on things and we can be better.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes the kid who has the 4.0 and the kid who has the 3.0 or the 2.5, that kid who has the lower grade point average is sometimes the better rounded person. You just never know until you get in that moment with them. Janelle, what are your thoughts on that?
For me, I would say I really wish that parents would focus less on what they're going to be like as adults, 24, 25, 26, and focus more on the teen years that they have now. When they're 11, 12, 13 through 18, a lot of the times there's so much stuff they're going to go through, and they're going to need your guidance. They're going to need some understanding. So maybe focus more on those years and just let them be able to make their mistakes through those years so that when they do get older and they do become adults, they're able to use their previous experiences in a better way.
Yeah. That does my heart so good to hear that, though. I like, because, so often you do think so far ahead that you forget, like, they have this much time and it's not a very big window to be kids. So, be there in those moments to let them be kids and to kind of figure things out. I think that that's really beautiful. What are your thoughts, Dr. Galiotos?
I agree with everything that's been said. I mean, I think that always focusing too far on the future, you're missing the opportunities that are at hand and the time that you have with your child at hand. And while we don't want children to feel like they have to be perfect, I think I would say to parents that they don't have to be perfect either. Mm-hmm. Being a perfect parent, no one can do it. Being a parent is a really hard job. And so as long as you're present, as long as you show that you care, as long as your children can see that you're trying your best to give them opportunities and to put them in situations where they may be able to find success or find things that they enjoy, I think that's good enough.
Yeah, that's all. I think that that's so true as well. Kevin, in your position, what, you work with young people across so many different backgrounds with the Boys and Girls Clubs. What are you noticing about what kids seem to be craving the most right now, socially and emotionally?
So yeah, it's those deep friendships, I would say. There's a lot of isolation that we see, and which causes a lot of mental health and anxiety issues. So really, it's about having a place for them to go to connect, not only with staff and mentors, but with each other. And really, we try to not only within each city we serve, we try to bring our kids from different backgrounds and different cities together to kind of interact with each other. So it's really a connection that we're trying to foster and bring back.
And Janelle, you've experienced a lot of this, when you work as a young person, now as a leader with the kids at the Boys and Girls Clubs. Yeah. Looking back, what would you say made probably the biggest difference for you personally growing up?
I have been in the club for a while, since I was 8, and I would say that I still remember some of the staff. I still talk to some of the staff to this day. Yeah. So for me, when I started off at the club, I had zero confidence. I did not want to talk to other children, just my sister, and that was it. Mm-hmm. And maybe the other kids from the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. But so I would stay in one room all the time, and they would let me stay in the room, but they said I had to volunteer if I wanted to stay in their room. So I would have to pass out supplies. I would have to help other kids draw something. So to me, I was just helping, but to them, they were teaching me how to be more confident in talking to other kids, which kind of branched off into more. And as I became a teen, I started volunteering at the front desk. Then I started working there. And then even when I wasn't working there, I still volunteered at the Boys and Girls Club. And now I'm back full time in general.
That's awesome. It's almost, and I don't mean tricked in a negative way, but they almost tricked you into being, hey, volunteering is great. Hey, this could be great future work. And without you even realizing it.
Yes, a little bit. And I will say it's a funny story, but my whole family works for the Boys and Girls Club. I have a twin sister. She's a director in Richmond. My older sister, she's a director here, an area director. And then my mother also works for the Boys and Girls Club, and she works somewhat in HR.
Wow.
So all 4 of us work for
the club. So I wasn't lying when I said it was a big family, right? We're
You're not kidding.
A big family.
This is so intricately weaved into greatness. What a valuable story. What a great thing for people to hear and fully understand, giving back to an organization that really gave to you and the belief you have and your family has in that. Yeah. That is just so special. I love to hear that. Thank you for that.
Of course.
Dr. Galiotos, from your perspective as a pediatric urgent care physician, what are you seeing in kids right now that concerns you the most beyond physical health?
I think to echo, I think for sure mental health and social and emotional development is a huge consideration when we're looking at children of all ages. Mm-hmm. In some ways, the kids are the most connected they've ever been through the use of social media devices. Yeah. They have thousands of friends, but on the other hand, they're what we discuss at work in a pandemic of isolation. because these aren't true connections. A social media connection, a connection over screen time is not a true personal connection, and children crave that. And so I think if we can get them in situations where they are around other peers, where they have adults who actually question them, ask them about their lives, show interest in their lives, whether it's at school, whether it's in sports, whether it's in any sort of club or activity that they find enjoyable, just having day-to-day personal connections is beneficial for them. And if, on the other hand, they're having problems, then there's somebody to kind of notice that.
Right.
And see if we can expand on that a little bit more.
Man, just to even hear the phrase a pandemic of isolation and a time when we are all so socially connected and trying to push the phones and everything away, I think that that's a really great way to phrase that and to help people realize, like, just because we may be connected socially over electronics, it really is not, like you said, real connection. And that is something that is absolutely, I agree, so important for the benefit of our children. We are going to continue this conversation about youth professional development after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Parenting Unscripted. We are continuing conversation about youth development. And there's so much that we could talk about when it comes to making sure that our kids are prepared for their future. So we want to once again chat with this great crew from the Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Virginia. And Kevin, I want to get right back to you. A lot of parents struggle with knowing exactly when to step in and let kids figure things out. We kind of talked about this a little, but what have you learned about how confidence kicks in for kids over time? Do you find that it develops more and more the more often children are allowed to kind of figure things out on their own?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And it's something that, just like anything else, the more you practice, the more you get.
Yeah.
Right. And the more positive reinforcement you get, or the more help that you get, then the better off you're going to be. So really giving the tools to do it yourself is really critical for us. So,
and how do you think that that plays into their professional development then, as you build their confidence?
well, I mean,
I know it's an obvious question. I'm a journalist. We ask them all the time.
right. Confidence is everything, but really confidence comes from knowing that you have the ability to succeed.
Yeah.
And that's what kids just need to hear is you're good enough to do it. You know, it's in you. And Janelle is an expert. Of course, Dr. Jennifer is an expert, but it's really bringing that out of them to give them that belief that they can do anything.
Mm-hmm. And Janelle, what do you think, when you see a young person start to gain confidence or step into, a leadership role, what are some of the moments that really spark that for them, that might initiate that?
I would say there are some really small things that really spark it. For example, their clothing might change. They're now wearing stuff that's more comfortable to them versus what's trending right now. Sometimes it's really small things like them saying, hey, just so you know, I didn't get in trouble all week. They're trying.
Yes.
So they're making progress. They're trying to do different things. Or sometimes it's them volunteering instead of me having to ask. So sometimes they'll say, I can help with this. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just because I continuously ask them to do things that they know, like, oh, I guess I can help with this too. I can do more of this. So really they start doing small things and it all just piles on top of the other.
Yeah, those are also, this is why I love having these conversations, because those really are little things that whenever you see a child who, has a different outfit on, or like they're coming and they're like, wait, let me try to do that for you. That really is showing that their confidence is growing in the best way. Those are great things to highlight. Dr. Galiotos, we've heard of the importance, obviously, trusted adults outside the home. Why would you say those relationships are so meaningful in a child's development?
I think the more positive touches that a child has with a trusted adult, the better they're going to be. In general, it has been shown that having relationships with caring adults is great for a child's development. And kind of to go on what we were speaking, it also will help with their confidence. The more times that they hear positive reinforcement, the more times that they have the opportunity to engage in things, even if it's not necessarily initially a positive experience, just having experiences in general helps them for the future, so that when they do go off into the workforce or into college experiences, nothing is off limits. They're willing to take a risk because they have internal confidence.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it adds up. I mean, that's the good math. That's the math that we really do like to see. What do you think? Is there a moment, Kevin, that you can think of in your life, or something that you witnessed through the Boys and Girls Clubs, of a moment that an adult really made an impact on a child's life that maybe wasn't their parents, just a trusted adult?
So yeah, we see it every day with, hundreds of people that really go above and beyond in the clubs every day. Going back to that, you can see a kid that first comes in through our doors, right? And they will not necessarily look you in the eye. They will certainly not greet you. But if you come back after, I would say, just 1 week, and this happened when I first started, you'll see that kid. They'll look you in the eye. They'll be happy. They will greet you and feel comfortable. So, like I said, it's just about giving kids the idea that they're good enough. They can do anything they put their minds to, and that they're in a safe space to either fail, as we said before, or succeed. And it's the little wins every day that you stack those days up, and then that confidence is there, and it's a different person, and they believe in themselves.
I do really want to focus on the amazing things that the Boys and Girls Club does for kids. There are people who may not understand what it's like when you walk through those doors. So for anyone who wants to answer this, when you walk through the doors on day one, what is that first moment like, and what will the kids find there?
I'll go for this one.
Yeah.
On day one, it's a little nerve-wracking for them, but a lot of the times someone from their class will probably also be there. So some of them go the first day and they have 3 new best friends by the end of the day.
Okay.
And it works out for them, which makes them want to come the next day and the next day. They may not know all the staff yet, but they will eventually get into this groove where they have their favorite staff that they want to go to every day. And then they love giving us hugs. All of a sudden we start getting hugs every day. But they will do homework. They will have food. They will do activities. There's art activities, gym activities, games room, and just general gaming in general. So they will do a lot of stuff all day, and they usually go home with a couple new drawings throughout the day. And for teens, they may go through a program, whether it's learning how to cut hair, basketball skills, football skills, coding. So there's different stuff for the teens compared to the younger ones.
Yeah, it sounds like it really just gives them a safe space to be a kid, which I think is so important. I really loved having this conversation with the 3 of you today. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know your schedules are really busy, so coming on to talk about this has just been wonderful. Thank you for joining us today. And I know our viewers got a lot out of this conversation as well.
Thanks so much for having us.
Of course. Come on back, because I know there's so much more that we could talk about. So again, thanks for joining us. And everyone, thank you for joining us today for this episode of Parenting Unscripted. Remember, you can catch new episodes of Parenting Unscripted every Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock right here on Wavy Plus. Be good.